Hello, I would like to welcome you to our format Natural Medicine. It is nice that you have switched on again and are spending your valuable time with us. We are always trying to provide you with valuable information about your health and how you can optimize it and, above all, keep it. Today I have an exciting guest. I welcome Karl Müller. He is a movement scientist, and today we are talking about a very painful phenomenon, the so-called heel sprain. And what we can do, how we can solve it in a very simple way. Stay tuned, it will be exciting. I look forward to seeing you. Welcome, dear Karl. Nice that you are with us again and can provide us with exciting information about our movement apparatus. You are a movement scientist, as I have already mentioned. And you have simple, so surprisingly simple solutions for the health problems of our society. And today we are talking about the so-called heel sprain. Very, very painful. I didn't have it myself yet, but of course we have already met people who are suffering from it. And I didn't know what a heel sprain is yet. Maybe we'll go into that briefly.
Thank you, Alexandra. Yes, what is a heel sprain? The ghosts argue about it. In America it is mainly called plantar fasciitis. There is the so-called plantar fascia at the bottom of the foot. This is a fascia, like the body, 20% of the body are fascias. It is the largest organ in the body. You say the skin is the largest organ, but the skin is a component of the fascia apparatus. And down here there is a so-called plantar fascia. It starts at the front of the toes and goes all the way over the foot. And at the back it narrows and is then fixed to the heel. And this plantar fascia is too short for most people. Because we don't walk barefoot in nature, it is not stretched. If you then even sometimes wear inserts, then it is moved even less. And if you don't move muscles, muscle fascia, everything that is not moved is glued. It gets shorter and glued. And if it is then so short that it tears there, especially at the back of the heel, then such an inflammation pain arises. And in the extreme case, it can trigger a thorn. So it always arises where there is an imbalance in the body. The body always reacts with something against it. For example, a good example is chicken skin. So hard skin on the foot.
Callus.
Excuse me, exactly, callus. Callus is a reaction of miscarriage of the feet. You could think that if someone always walks barefoot in nature, then everything should be full of callus. Callus, so natural people do not have callus. The skin is very, very fine. Of course, the upper skin has a thin layer to protect from thorns and so on, but that's not callus. Callus then also makes such cracks and hurts.
And it's really hard.
And it's really hard. Ganglion is also a reaction to tight shoes, for example.
Ganglion is already heard, but
Ganglion is such a bony reaction. That's not the skin, but the bone gets bigger. The bone reacts when a ski shoe or hiking shoes or people who hike a lot and the shoes do not fit. Then the bone reacts in the area of the ankle, for example. But it can also be ganglion. I have an ganglion here, too. Because I hadn't treated arthrosis for too long.
Arthrose nicht behandelt hatte,
To prevent misinterpret, I didn't treat it with medication or surgery. But I have my own treatment there. The natural walking. And ganglion here on the knee didn't go back, but my arthrosis is gone. So the cartilage is back. It's almost like a teenager. Not quite, but almost like a teenager. But the bone, even if the miscarriage is gone, it usually stays there. So also with plantar fasciitis. The plantar fasciitis stays, but the cause usually starts with, or always as far as I know, with a shortening of the plantar fascia and with irritation of the plantar fascia. And you know, people who have it, and that's 40% of the over 50-year-olds, who have had or have had a plantar fasciitis. And that's very tiring. You hardly get rid of it. In physiotherapy, you do the stretching exercises, where you just put your hands on the wall and then stretch the leg out with the heel on the floor. And then the plantar fascia and the lower leg stretch like this. That helps, but it helps in the short term. So most of the pain is the worst in the morning, when you get up, because it's all glued up again overnight. If you move a little bit during the day, it gets better. But if you've had it for a long time, then it doesn't get any better during the day. Stretching helps, but you also have to change the cause. And the cause is just walking on hard, flat floors. The folding foot, the foot that just falls down like that. And that makes the plantar fascia shorter. And then, when you stretch, it should always stay moving throughout the day. Because fascias that are not moving immediately stick together again. When you get a little older, you know how fast fascias stick together when you drive a car for 2 hours. Then you sit in this car seat. They are so beautiful, comfortable, well-formed and prevent any movement.
Ergonomically.
Ergonomically, exactly. Prevent any movement. Like our chairs here a little bit. Thank God, I only have to hold it for half an hour. Then you get up after 2 hours and then you have to sort all the bones individually until the roasted stuff is free again and becomes a little more mobile. And the same applies to the plantar fascia. It should be moved in everyday life. The orthopedics, or some orthopedics, or many orthopedics, then recommend insoles. Yes, the insole can be a little bit, especially if it is a little bit raised in the back, then it relieves the fascia a little bit. The plantar fascia is relieved at the moment, but then it gets even shorter. So in the long run, you can remove them right away. The insole, the orthopedic insole, is a stabilizing, supporting insole. Because it doesn't help in the long run. In the long run, only physiological movement helps. So movement, walking barefoot would help. It can cause even more pain at the beginning. Yes, because it stimulates even more. But if you do it with the right stretching exercise or with the Asian hockey, that's the best. Asian hockey is the best exercise against plantar fascia. And of course, in everyday life, move the foot naturally with us. It's not a secret that we produce shoes that bring the plantar fascia and even movement into the foot. And 95 out of 100 people who come to us, even if they have plantar fasciitis for months, 95 out of 100 are pain-free in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes?
Yes, immediately. 95 out of 100.
I call that a quick effect.
Yes, plantar fasciitis is the indication that we have the fastest success.
Indikation, wo man bei uns am allerschnellsten Erfolg hat.
By the way, you can rent our shoes for 2 weeks. You can try that out. Then you can rent them again for 30 francs, 20 euros. And you pay for that. And then you can send the shoes back. And then you have had success. Only if you no longer wear the shoes afterwards, it will come back to us again. That takes longer. And you should also do the Asian hockey exercises, the stretching exercises. And if you have worn it for a few months, then it goes away. Then you can wear normal shoes again. Although you probably no longer like to wear them, because this trampoline feeling in everyday life on the hard ground is just so pleasant.
Aha, okay. The Asian hockey, we talked about it, or you mentioned it, we have to briefly explain what it looks like. So you go, I assume, let's take a shoulder-wide foot stand and then you squat down all the way with your heel on the ground and the buttocks as far down as possible, right?
Exactly. I could show it to you, but because we have a chair here. Yes, you go all the way down with the butt, all the way down to the heel. And not like we squat down, by just being on the forefoot, but with the whole heel you are all the way down. You can see in Asia, or have seen earlier, today much less at the bus stations, where people wait for hours. Or they play their board games and everyone is sitting on the ground. And that is of course extremely stretching. The whole muscles, up to and with back, neck, everything is stretched. This is the best stretching exercise you can do at all. In other broadcasts or on our website we also show how to practice this Asian hockey. Yes, exactly. I have done separate broadcasts where I also show exercises, how to do exercises against knee problems, hip problems, or just this Asian hockey is a general exercise that is good for the whole movement apparatus, but of course it works very strongly on the plantar fascia, because the knee then goes very far in front, the knee goes very far in front of the foot and, of course, extremely stretches the area of the plantar fascia and gastrocnemius, respectively, the thigh muscles.
Und dehnt natürlich extrem den Bereich von Plantarfaszie und Gastrocnemius, respektive Wadenmuskulatur.
And yes, this movement, continuous movement, if you look here, maybe on the picture, you can see there, up there, the 2 feet. That's about what happens with the foot when you walk in our shoes. Right up there, of course, the plantar fascia is stretched at every step and the foot muscles are trained, moved, and if you move the muscles, it can't stick them together.
Trainiert, bewegt und wenn man die Muskulatur bewegt, kann sie nicht verkleben.
Stimmt.
That's why the movement is actually the best method of therapy against many problems with the movement apparatus, especially plantar fasciitis. To name the term again, in most cases, there is no spur at all, thank God, but only inflamed plantar fascia. But even if there is a spur, you don't have to take it away at all. You can treat it with ultrasound, but that doesn't solve the problem at all. You can have it removed, but the cause is the shortened, an inflamed plantar fascia.
So, because nowadays we simply don't have the opportunity in our society or in our life to go on natural grounds anymore, we need a long-term solution ultimately. And of course, such exercises, as you have already mentioned, create an improvement. But the ideal case would really be if we had a possibility to imitate the natural underground in some way. And you have managed to do that, or you have managed to bring it into a shoe or into shoes as an underground. That's how I understood it. And you have already explained that this can also have certain consequences at first. For example, you can have some dizziness. I think, not dizziness, but
Yes, yes, it can. If you move something at the foundation and at the body, it can, for example, trigger dizziness. It is perhaps the case with 2, 3 out of 100 people. There are very, very few, perhaps 2 out of 1,000, where the underground can't carry our shoes. There are very, very few. And those who still have dizziness at the beginning, when they always sit down again in between, go fast, slowly, at different speeds, it goes away very quickly with most people. But you might need half an hour to practice a little. That can be a first reaction. It is called first reactions. Contraindications would be if something doesn't work at all. There is actually nothing or except for these 2 out of 1,000 with this dizziness, and otherwise there are no contraindications. Otherwise it's just a tool for everyday life to the hard, flat, beating. I might quickly come back to the picture on the left, to the beating floor in a soft, elastic, springy natural floor.
Das komme ich vielleicht schnell auf das Bild links zurück, auf den schlagenden Boden in einen weich elastisch federnden Naturboden.
On the left we are at the drawing. On the left, exactly. This diagram is known from motion science. There you make ground reaction force diagrams. That is upwards. Is that a ground reaction force? That means that you measure the body weight like on a scale. It's like a scale. The indicator then turns off when you walk. When you are at the first ground contact, the indicator jumps up because you walk. That is this tip that goes higher than the body weight.
Sprunghaft nach oben, das ist diese Spitze, die geht höher als das Körpergewicht.
The blue curve.
Genau, die blaue Kurve. Ja, danke.
There, this cross line, this blue cross line is the body weight. It hits then, when it goes over the body weight, because you walk, you go dynamically, you stand on this scale, then there is a huge hit. This hit you see then at the bottom of the picture on the left side with the short pants on the left.
Beim Bild auf der linken Seite mit der kurzen Hose, wenn man ganz rechts ist, nicht ganz rechts, sondern links von ganz rechts.
With the 3 white stripes there, if you look at the thighs, then like this thigh muscle, the quadriceps, it is so really shaken up, that because of the peak this shoe is still a softer shoe.
Der Quadrizeps, der wird so richtig durchgeschüttelt. Das ist wegen dieser Spitze. Wobei dieser Schuh ist ja noch ein weicher Schuh.
The gym ground is also a softer ground. But still there is this impact. And of course it is an impact that allows the fascia to be glued. What allows the fascia to be glued are 3 factors: not moving, move like in a cast. If you put a muscle in a cast, then it won't only be smaller, but after 6 weeks you can hardly move it, so fascia stick when there is no movement. If the movement is folksy, fascia also glue. I have to imagine that the muscles, this muscle is frightened. It is struck, gets frightened, pulls together and then gets stuck.
or it cramps and gets sticks.
Exactly, it cramps. And cramping is also sticking. This is a stress situation for the muscle. This then triggers tension. That would be a separate topic. What is the difference between body tension, which is very healthy, and tension, which is harmful? What is also mental tension, neck tension, back tension, has a lot to do with the psyche, but also with the body. These are physical blows to the muscles. They stick. And of course the plantar fascia also sticks. This also releases plantar fasciitis, these blows. And if you look to the right now, this shoe has a sole underneath. This shoe from above. A soft, elastic, springy sole. The muscle, now again this thigh muscle, if you look at it closely, it is completely calm. And nothing happens there. This relieves the stress. Not only in the plantar fascia, but it goes all the way into the neck. This relieves stress. And also in the curve you can see how the red curve transforms. We cannot prevent that the body weight when walking goes over the normal body weight. So the red curve also goes over the body weight. But there is a round curve. There is no blow.
There is a gentle rise. A bit of a peak and a round peak at the top.
A round peak. You can imagine when I jump down from a meter on the ground. There is a blow, right? If I jump down from a meter on a trampoline, then it springs off and catapults me back up. A little bit less high. Because it is not a perpetuum mobile, right? A little bit less high, but the springing off is exactly what happens with the trampoline when you jump. The blue curve is from a meter or let's say 30 centimeters on the ground. Barefoot, with the heel or with the red curve goes down on the trampoline. And that transforms the right sole, right at the bottom, is a trampoline sole and transforms this blow into a healthy training step.
So the curve also looks aggressive, if I may express it that way, the blue one, in contrast to this red one. It is also not the case that this sole then, how should I say it, dampens something, right? How that might be some kind of insertion. Or
that's a very good question. Yes, it dampens, but it dampens actively. There are, with these pillows, there are pillows where the head goes in. Or with pillows and mattresses you can put your hand in and if you take your hand away then it comes back very, very slowly. This is passive damping. If you have a pillow where you put your hand in or also a mattress and then go away with your hand then it goes, with the hand it goes back very quickly. Directly. Then it's active damping. What we do is active damping. You can see that on the right top. You can see that very well. Yes. It also dampens. But it dampens actively. It gives a catapult effect back. And that's the totally crucial thing. I am convinced that shoes that dampen, just dampen, are harmful to the body. That then has the stabilizing effect again and not the mobilizing one. Our soles, they mobilize. In contrast to stabilizing. And everything that stabilizes comes from the outside and takes over the function of the musculature. Then I don't need muscles. If something stabilizes from the outside, then I can just forget the muscles. Then you can then let them shrink. But in the long run, at the moment, that can even help. So if you fix a cast or something for a few days, you can fix a joint. But then the question is, or is the task to get out of this situation as quickly as possible and then to activate it again? To make it independent again. To take over.
so the active stabilization gives the foot the opportunity or the movement system as a whole. We are not just at the foot, but it has an effect all the way up.
Starts with the foot, it goes all the way up.
Exactly. So we give the entire movement apparatus the opportunity again to react naturally to a soil situation. You can put it that way.
Exactly. To activate the whole system. If we take a look at it here, we now have here below a foot with our sole.
Wir haben jetzt hier unten einen Fuß mit unserer Sohle.
You give an input, a trampoline input, and that leads to the whole system up to the neck, up to the rotation of the thoracic spine, head up, being stretched.
Das ganze System bis zum Nacken, bis zur Rotation der Brustwirbelsäule, Kopf hoch, gestreckt wird.
Ja, okay.
So you don't get smaller in the course of life.
Auch im Laufe des Lebens nicht kleiner.
It is statistically proven that the human between 30 and 50 gets 5 centimeters smaller, but that shouldn't be the case.
Aber das müsste nicht sein.
I measure myself again and again. I'm still the same size as I was when I was 25.
That's somehow illogical. Why? What's supposed to happen there? If you always stretch yourself, nothing happens. The musculature gets a little slower, that's true, but not as much as it is. Statistically seen. You just have to, if you constantly spring and constantly, actively stretch up and release the tensions, they pull the system together.
Und die Verspannungen löst, die Verspannungen, die ziehen das System zusammen.
Of course, the psyche also belongs to it, which contents it. It is a concept that now affects the physical level, but the psyche and the mind, that has to, of course, also relate to it, but that's not the topic today. But it all belongs together and everything works on each other. That's just the way it is, isn't it?
Yes, it can work like a vicious circle, where it bites each other. Or it can work outwardly, that it helps each other.
Exactly. So the soul, if you can summarize it briefly, helps the body to help itself again, if it has a problematic situation.
Exactly. Without exercises, without time management.
Yes. Exciting. Very good. Where can you find more information about these soles, about these shoes?
It is best to look on the internet under KYBUN, so Kaiben. KYBUN, Joya. Either just Kaiben, then you will find Joya or
Joya finden oder Joya mit Joya oder beides zusammen, da findet man viele
Joya with Joya, or both together. You will find many information, not only the models, but you also find information that you can rent these for 2 weeks, that you cannot do with an operation. So you don't have to buy the it right away. Yes, exactly. That's not what we want. I was allowed to invent the whole thing out of grace. After all, it is a gift to be able to use all the talents given to man. They are gifts. And it's a gift that I was given this, to live on this generation-wise. That is a gift, but my greatest concern is that our customers are satisfied, that they are excited. God, save me from selling something to someone who does not help. I do not want to do that. It also gives me a bad conscience. That is why we give our customers the opportunity to try it out, and if it is not working, they can send it back.
Great, wonderful. You already have a large customer base, as I have learned.
Yes, we can count over 2 million people in more than 40 countries among our customers.
Very good. I hope it will spread even further. This idea, or rather more people will listen to it, which is why we are sitting here together. That's why we talk about it. As we have already discussed elsewhere, it is also a relief for the health insurance companies if operations can be prevented by such a simple option. Everyone actually benefits from this.
Durch so eine einfache Möglichkeit verhinderbar sind. Da profitieren doch eigentlich alle davon.
That's right.
Alle Betroffenen. Genau, okay. Wir sind schon wieder am Ende.
I think we have come to the end, but I thank you for these exciting impressions, for the image material, which has been very well illustrated, and I think that it was well understood what is in our brain in today's movement, in our undergrounds and in our shoes. And yes, I hope we were able to inspire many people when problems arise on the entire posture or movement apparatus, to try out such a solution.
Wenn Probleme am gesamten Haltungsapparat oder Bewegungsapparat bestehen, erstmal eine solche Lösung auszuprobieren.
So thank you on this point. Thank you for your mission and for your vision and for your insights that you have also implemented in practice for the good of people and the health of people.
Umgesetzt hast zum Wohle der Menschen und der Gesundheit von Menschen.
I look forward to the next conversation that will certainly take place. And I also thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you will be there again next time. I hope that we have inspired you for being healthy and, above all, for help, for self-help, because that's what we want to communicate with. So, goodbye and stay healthy, and if you are not, get well. See you next time. Goodbye.